Good morning. Good morning. It's the Remarkable People podcast team. I'm Guy Kawasaki. I am in Watsonville, California, and I'd like to welcome you to our weekly live show announcing the latest episode of Remarkable People. And today it is Dory Clark, who is a productivity and how would you describe it? Productivity expert. She's
Strategy?
just an
Yeah.
overachiever. Strategy, yeah. She's such an
An
overachiever.
author.
Didn't she start college at like 12 or something? It was some amazing number.
I would say communications, marketing strategy.
Kick in the ass. She is a kick in the ass woman, I have to say.
She's a guy. Peg and I were trying to figure out. She's been around for a long time, like in our circles with social media stuff. She spoke at Social Media Marketing World when we were there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, how many books does she have? Like 3 or 4, isn't it?
3. Yeah, I think 3, maybe 4. I
Yeah.
think this is the 3rd book.
Yeah, this was a great episode. So if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you guys go to remarkablepeople.com. Dory's episode just dropped today. It's really good. It's about, we're going to talk about it today, creating a long-term strategy. So I'm going to pull up our icebreaking question here. So do you have a long-term strategy? Guy, do you have a long-term? Because you talked about this in the podcast, but it was pretty funny.
My long-term strategy is to listen to my wife and Peg.
Yeah.
What you
That's
have,
my
guys?
short-term strategy.
Same
That's
thing.
my short-term, long-term, and medium-term strategy.
Yes.
Your strategy is a long board strategy. Are you on a short board or a
What?
long board?
Well, surfboard?
Yeah.
Yeah, surfboard.
Oh,
I made
no,
a
no,
surf.
no. Yeah, you did. I'm amazed. Someone from Keene, New Hampshire can make a surfboard analogy. I am on a longboard. The older you get, the longer your board. And
See, so
roughly
that was good.
speaking,
I
yeah.
said, do you
So
have, you
roughly
have a long
speaking,
board strategy?
I thought you meant BORED.
No, that was a surf joke.
Ah, very good, Vic.
If
Very
you have to
good for
explain
someone
it,
who's never.
the humor is gone.
So I'm surprised you
Yeah.
don't have any surfboards in your background. So you got a new background that we're showing off today.
Shit, I can fix that.
Here
There's
go.
those guys.
So as he's going to go fix his background, do you have a long-term strategy in the comments here? We'd love to know if you have one or not. It's nothing. So she's
And
got a
how
long-term.
long is long term?
Wait, that's
You have
not right
a
yet.
1-year plan. I usually have like a 1-year plan
Yeah.
going. With social media, for real, you can't go too long because things always change. But I try to have like goals for the next year. I would say I used to have more goals for like 5-year goals, but I think I reached a lot of them.
Right.
Are you happy now?
Yeah. So let me go
hopefully,
full screen on
yeah,
this.
that
So
looks
look at
great.
that. That looks nice. And because
When you
like-
go full screen, it's in the wrong place.
I know, but so because Dirk was asking, was just about to say, where are those longboards? So there you go, just for Dirk. We
Well,
pulled one up.
actually, this is the Pearson Arrow short board. It's only about 5'5" or something. If I use a board like this, I would never ever catch a wave. It's I have boards that are 12 feet long, more than twice the length of this board. So
So
yeah.
you didn't really answer. You said you don't. So you don't have any sort of long-term strategy, Guy, at all. Other than
I
listening
really
to-
don't. I mean, maybe I should listen to Dory.
I think when
really
there's a book, if there's a book that if you're working on a book, you have a strategy for a book puts you on a schedule. Like you have to
Yeah.
once you hook up with a publisher, then you have dates and you have to meet those dates, and that gives you a strategy. And then you have the launch, and then you're into the sprint every day marathon. So book writing creates a strategy for you.
So does podcasting. I mean, podcasting, like I have to spend a couple hours prepping, and then I have to do the interview,
Right.
and then I have to edit, and then Jeff has to undo my edits and put the
Mhm.
two tracks back together again, and then you can. I mean,
And sound
Like
design, yeah.
there's,
And our long-term
there's a whole
strategy
lot of steps.
is to have more than one in the can. That's Peg and I's long-term strategy.
yes, it is.
Don't we,
We
don't,
we're
don't we have about 3 right now?
We're getting close. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
completed, but getting there. But
Yeah.
see, the thing is, one just came out today, so now it doesn't count anymore.
Right.
Shit.
It's
Yeah,
gone.
we should have this on Tuesdays.
But here's the thing. Let's look at our long-term strategy. Since we've started the podcast, we have had
Yeah.
2 years every single Wednesday on the dot. Our show is live. So we do reach
Yeah,
our goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
we do.
So and I know, and this month is all really strong female driven episodes. So it's really a great month this month.
Maybe we should rename it to Remarkable Women.
Well, every once in a while we could have a dude.
Yeah. Once in a while.
Okay.
But so Peg was saying she has kind of a 1-year strategy. I have like kind of, I don't know if it would be a strategy, but there is long-term things I would like to do, but I can't. I mean, like you were saying, Peg, it changes so much. It's hard to like say like for social media what you're going to do for,
Right.
next year. The technology changes.
I'm going to go all in on Google Plus, and Google
Right.
Plus is going to be my life. Then it's going to disappear.
Oops.
So
That was great. I'm going to write a book about it.
Oh!
I know it hurts.
I'm bleeding. Staunch the bleeding.
It hurt me
Get some
too.
super glue.
Google Plus.
But see, that's where I met Peg, and that led to this thing. And so, I mean, I'm thankful for Google Plus. So it's all good. So our second question. Oh, by the way, before we get too deep in the weeds here, make sure you guys go check out the community over at Circle. You can find that at bit.ly/remarkable people circle. Those are all capital. You want to have the capitalized there. It needs to have doesn't have to have the correct one, Peg. The correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capital case.
Stupid. So freaking stupid. That is so stupid. I cannot even.
But anyway,
wrap my mind around the fact
our
that
community
it's
isn't stupid. We would love to see you guys there. Make sure you guys go to bit.ly/remarkable people circle and check that out as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to say that. So our
By
first
any chance, by any chance, did you guys check to see if bit.ly.com/RPC is available? All caps.
Well, it's not going to be now. Everyone's going to go.
No, I did not.
So,
But I could.
yeah.
I could, but not right now. I'm busy.
So,
I'll go. I'll do it. Take me off camera. I'll do it.
No.
no, we need you
I'll
to
look
see.
I'll look it up later. The thing about that is if people want to do it later because they're watching us, they're not going to remember just RBC. Or RP.
Well, they're not going to remember to title cap Remarkable People Community either.
Well, people seem to be finding it.
So we have a great question over on.
Finally.
Make sure you guys join our circle. By the way, we have discussions like this in it. But we have a great question over on YouTube.
There too.
Ben says the key variable in executing a long-term strategy is stability, but life is never truly stable. So, what advice do you have on maintaining adaptability? I can't even say it within the context of long-term goals. Guy, what say you?
That is a great question, especially with the pandemic, because I think everyone's long-term plans just got a wrench thrown in them, whether it was people retired because they were like, I'm done with this and I got money in the bank, I'm peace out. And then there's other people who retired who came back to jobs. And
Right.
so a lot of people's strategies have changed. I think the thing is you have to be flexible in your plans and not be too hard on yourself if it doesn't go exactly the way you think, and pivot while the wheel's still turning.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think Dory's point was that, in a sense, anything worth doing is worth doing and trying for a long time. I mean, she espoused, the concept of not giving up, and
Right.
I think she said that people give up too early, not give up too late, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Most people quit
people
before
quit.
the finish line. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if I had stuck it out at Apple. Shit, man, I would be a freaking gazillionaire. I would have my people on my podcast, not me.
So to Ben's question, I think it does take that flexibility and knowing yourself, well enough that I think it's a lot of it is self realization of like what is going to fit. How can you still make money if things change? There's some really great examples of people who pivoted during the pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
businesses, stuff like that. Who,
Addison Reed.
yeah, yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see the people who have been in the great resignation, whether they regret this. Who know,
Hmm.
so many people have been quitting their jobs, are they going to do
Uh,
well? Would they do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
you know, I keep hearing about the Great Resignation, but I don't know anybody who's resigned. Do you?
No, I think they're all younger. I don't know.
Or
I don't
stuck.
either, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they were resigning once a year already before the pandemic. So what's the big deal?
now they're doing it quarterly. I don't know.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think
no,
I
no,
think
but
most
seriously.
I know a lot of young people's resumes, it's like they just get 9 months to a year and they're switching jobs again. It's
Yeah.
totally different now.
Yeah. This is
I would
never.
say that's all contrary to Dory's advice.
Yep. It takes a year
What was
to
that?
learn a job. If you start a job and there's a lot of stuff going on, it can take a good year
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
learn the culture, all the systems, all the stuff, and then you're going to leave and go somewhere else. You're going to start from scratch again,
Yeah.
I know, for slightly more money,
right?
But
which after
I think
tax is no more money.
right. I
that's
think it would
true.
be stressful.
Yeah. I don't think I could work for anybody other than Guy again. So this is a great
That's a
question
big
because
caveat, man.
this is a great question because you guys talked about this and your different philosophies on this, which I think was really fascinating. It says, how do you? Oh, yeah, that was it. How do you
That
say
was
no to requests? Like, because
Yeah.
and so if you haven't checked out the podcast, it's really good because they talked about this at length. Um, you kind of say yes to. You were saying that you like to say yes to everything. That's been your philosophy for a long time.
I know. I've changed after this episode. No,
So
I
don't
say
ask
no to
Guy for anything.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so this is someplace where we did differ, where she says, you should really be selective and strategic about your choices and all that. Life is short, time is limited, resources, attention. She also espoused the theory of, think of the true total cost, where somebody says, oh, make a speech for my company in the Bahamas. You're thinking, oh, it's great to go to the Bahamas, but then really getting to the Bahamas from the West Coast probably takes 2 days to get there, 2 days back. It's, now we're at 4 days. One day there is 5 days. So this 1 hour speech in the Bahamas, which seems like fun, is 5 days.
Hmm.
And, that's a big difference. And so she said, consider the total cost and also the opportunity cost. What could you have been doing for those 5 days if you were not, waiting in the Atlanta airport for half a day watching people fight? So that's a lot of. I, on the other hand, have kind of built my life saying yes to people and sorting it out later. And I have to tell you, saying yes to a lot of things have led to a lot of opportunity. Um,
which is our next question.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that necessarily.
So what about you, Peg? How do you say? Because how do you? The question was like, how do you say no? Oops, to somebody,
Right.
and you know, let's see. Andre says,
Mine is more similar to Dory's, where I say no to something. She said to say no quickly. Like if you get something and you know you're going to
Yes.
say no, just send an answer and leave it and close it. Thank you so much for thinking of me. This isn't something that I can do right now. Good luck with your event. And
right,
that's sort of how I word things. And I always close it like, good luck,
right,
I get people that ask me, they want to hire me to do social media, which it clearly doesn't say that I'm looking for social media anything on my website. It says like I'm not accepting clients. I'm not, I try to be clear to save that people sending me an email. Then because then they'll respond and say, well, can you refer me to somebody? Can you introduce me to a few people? It's like that would take I don't know you. And
it's
that would take a
that's a
Right.
big
really long
ask. Yeah,
time. Like it's not that you don't want to
Yeah.
help everybody, but you have to choose the people that you can help and the things that you just can't do. You just need to like
Well,
make it clear and
you know,
not open the conversation.
My when I say no and someone says, "Well, can you refer me to another venture capitalist or potential investor?" I don't answer that. I feel like I've done my moral obligation. You asked me something, I responded. Now you're asking me to, well, do you know anybody else? Yeah, so
Right.
like I'm going to introduce you to my best friend, the venture capitalist, having had one email with you, because I know the way your email to that person will be. Guy Kawasaki really loves our idea and recommended I contact you, which is total
Right.
unequivocal bullshit. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, I would also say, Peg said that she responds with this isn't something I can do right now. Dory, I think, addressed this and said, don't say something like that, because then the person might come back and say, well, okay, so it's not possible right now, but how about if I contact you again next year for the same conference that I want you to come to speak for free in the Bahamas? So
Right.
she said, just close the door quick and hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
what.
don't respond after that. I mean, some of them you don't even need to respond really, because if it says on my website like I'm not accepting clients, I really don't even feel like I
Yeah.
need to respond to that person, because it's not like I have a price list. I'm not like, hey, contact me for a free consulting call. Like none
Yeah.
of that. None of that
But
exists.
do you think it's reasonable to assume that they read that on your website?
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's right
Huh.
above. It's right above the contact form.
Yeah. I
Huh.
just don't think, because I get
People send
podcast
it
pitches
anyway.
all the time, and I'm like, there's no way you
A
would be a
lot.
fit.
The
So
guest post ones, they don't read or they don't care. But I have had people send me, there's very few people that have gotten through the email anyway. One was Poopery. They sent me a great email. They're
Yeah.
like, you don't work with clients and you're not looking for anything, but we are a good brand and we want you to make us better. Like that was like this
that's
really
cool.
great email, and they were
Hmm.
really great to work with. So I have made exceptions, but it's like a really, it has to be a good amount of money. um, and something that I feel like
Well,
I could help do. So
yeah, I mean, it is a lot like, um, m- you know, mining. I mean, you got to process 2 tons of dirt to get 1 carat of diamonds.
right.
But every once in a while, Peg, I dare say that if the CMO of Nike out of the blue wrote to you and said, we're considering blah, 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 would you help us, blah, 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 you would not be sending a message to say, I'm not accepting clients right now, right?
It depends. It depends. Like what if we were working on a book launch? I 100% would say no. If I was right finishing
Even
up my book,
even if it's the CMO of Nike,
yep.
I'm the
I can
freaking
only do
author and I would stop to help the CMO of Nike.
so Nike, if you're looking for marketing,
Right.
you can go to Guy, but if it's something I have to do, then I'll still say no. No, it depends.
What if it's
Because
Michelle Obama saying, I want to be on your podcast? Sorry,
well,
I'm
that's
full for the
different.
year, Michelle.
Michelle
Try
Obama,
again next year.
we nope. Michelle Obama's 100% yes, Michelle. We know you've been waiting to come on the podcast, and we have your spot open
Yeah.
whenever
We'll bump into
you
you
Right.
want.
later. Yeah.
No, I
Well,
mean, there's just sometimes you
Michelle
make
Obama and
exceptions.
Stacey Abrams. Those are the
Right.
only two.
Sometimes you make exceptions, but sometimes you just literally can't. I mean,
Hmm.
if you have other stuff
Yeah.
going on. And then sometimes it's last minute stuff, which is always like you think that it's going to be okay. Like if it's like, oh, we just need this quick campaign with this quick turnaround. And then those are the people who end up sending you 58 emails in 3 days. And you're like, this cost, the cost for that was like
Yeah.
not
Not
worth
worth it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the
Yeah.
longer
Yeah.
you've been around the block, you can
Man,
see those things. But
this
so
is
I've learned
just turned into
it
a
took me
bitch session.
it did. But the saying no thing is hard, because like I think people do want to say yes. Saying no is very hard. It's easier to say yes. So it is a skill to learn. I think over time you learn it. And then once you write a couple phrases that look good, save them in your Gmail.
Hmm.
Like make a little
I,
response so you can just say, I appreciate your offer, but no can do.
I have a person who helps me with my email, and so I just give her a one word answer. She takes it from there and crafts a really beautiful negative response. That's my secret.
That's good. So,
And by the way, we did that because you were overwhelmed with email, and I was like, you need to find someone to do your email again and just not be in there. You had to separate yourself a little
Yeah.
bit.
yeah.
And I
Got to know
did.
your strengths and weaknesses.
So he started to say
And I
no.
did.
But here,
Yeah.
the flip of the question, which Guy pushed back with on the podcast, which you can go find at remarkablepeople.com, is that, have you said yes and it turned out well? So for me, about 2 years ago, Peg came with me and goes, "Hey, would you like to do a podcast?" And that turned out okay. So, you got to learn, like you said, Peg, when to say yes and when to say no. I can say, nah, I don't have any time. But this was a good idea. So how about you, Peg? When have you said yes and it turned out well?
Well, I did give that one example where I said yes, and it was, it depends on what I say yes. Like right before this, I did a thing for my college. They wanted me to like do a little talk for their advising people that are seniors. That's a yes for me because I love helping college students. And when classes are reading the art of social media and they tweet about it, I always respond and I follow them. I think picking where you can help people is really nice. It's not like you could
We
spend a long time, but it's nice.
we helped an unknown startup in Sydney 7 years ago. That turned out okay.
We did.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to print out the email. We're gonna have to print. I'm gonna
Frame
have to print that little email that I sent you, Guy.
About Canva.
I'm gonna frame that. Frick, they're gonna put that. I think they're gonna engrave that on my gravestone.
So, Guy, here's a great question because you said you like to say yes a lot. So Judith over on LinkedIn says, saying no to the answer, not the person. It's hard to say no. She needs practice. So you defaulted. So when you kind of said I'm going to say yes to a lot of things, was that strategic or is that more of just your character and that's how you wanted to live your life, or was it really strategic?
No, nothing in my life is strategic. That was just how I live my life. That's just my attitude. That's my attitude towards life. That
But that's
people
where I
are.
think it makes it hard though,
Yeah.
because you're a nice person and a good person, and it feels good to say yes, and it makes you feel bad to say no.
Right.
But
Which
it's
what
not.
Judith is saying. Yeah.
It's not bad to say
That's
no.
why.
Sometimes you have
That's
to.
why I have Madison say no.
Right. But if you're in a position where you have to, you just kind of you have to choose that. Like different parts of your career, there's more yes. When I was just starting, I would have said more yeses.
But back to your point though, is as you learn as you go forward that when somebody is just trying to take your time or for free or pick your brain for free. And so you learn where you like to say yes to, I think is what I think some of the point is you kind of figure out where you need to go.
The emails that start off, "Dear Robert, I love your book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad." Those just.
That is good. Yes.
That's no.
So
those don't get a yes.
So we know the answer for this next one from Guy, but in your audience, I would love to know, do you have a 5-year plan? Because Dory talked about, she had some really ambitious goals that she was very transparent, and I won't do the spoiler. Yeah, it's so well.
She had a 20-year plan.
That was,
that's 20.
But the cool thing was she goes, I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I have some ideas of maybe ways to do it, but I don't have she doesn't have like a step-by-step process, but it's a goal for her in 5 years to do that. So I thought that was really fascinating and transparent and encouraging, I guess. Listen to that podcast.
I think the thing is with a lot of plans, you don't know how you're going to get there, but you have the 5 years to figure it out. Like manifesting, like we're getting up to New Year's and creating like a vision board for the year is like a really cool thing to do, and just come like ideas that you might want to do. I had one. It's not in my office right now. I don't know where I put it. I may have gotten rid of it, but I had a vision board that I did a few years ago, and I had on it the Eiffel Tower. I had on it a Macintosh computer because I really wanted one, and I didn't have one. Like I had things on there that I was going to work towards. Like I wanted my desk to look like X, and my job would be X, and like I had things.
When was this?
This was like 6 years ago. I actually reached everything.
6 years ago, you didn't have a Macintosh?
Maybe it was 8 years ago. It was a while ago. It was before I had a Mac, because it was before I had a Mac.
Really?
Yeah. And then I actually did get everything on my vision board. I went to Paris. I got my
Huh.
Macintosh. Probably I went to Paris because I got my Macintosh.
I've had a
Because I
Macintosh longer than you've been alive, Peggy.
maybe. I did have the old, remember the little case one that was the different
I
colors?
had
They
that
had
one.
the
Yeah.
on it. I
The
had that
jelly
one
The
when I
one.
first
iMac,
went to elementary school. That was my
Tangerine,
work computer. Oh, it was at the
Had the
church.
puck.
Blueberry.
It had the puck mouse, the little round
It
mouses.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
the
good
round one. Yeah,
computer. It was a cool design. And
Hmm.
then the next one
that
we had
saved
at our
Apple.
house, the next one we had was that one that had the base and then it had the monitor that kind of moved around. Do you remember that one? It was like a round base.
Round base, like a ball cut in half.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
white and then it had like it was a cool computer. So I did have some before I had, there were like family ones or a
Uh,
work one.
You know, working in the Macintosh division, I got a Macintosh that was signed on the inside, and then on the back there was a plaque.
Hmm.
To Guy Kawasaki, thank you for your efforts. And
Wow.
for the freaking life of me, I don't know where that Macintosh is.
Oh my
It,
gosh.
I mean,
Oh,
literally, that Macintosh could be in the first little apartment I owned in Palo Alto. It could be in the loft. I mean, in the attic. We forgot to take that. And some days I think I'll just go over there, knock on the door, and say, "Can I just go into your attic and see if my Macintosh is there from 25 years ago?" But
honestly,
I
you
don't want to be
should.
arrested.
There,
Yeah.
you should. Yeah, you should. Here's the thing:
It should
there
be in the
is a
Smithsonian.
Macintosh computer that's signed that is in the computer. No, there's one in the computer museum that's in
Yeah.
Palo Alto. There's one that
Yeah.
you signed and Steve Jobs signed, like a bunch of people. I saw it just recently.
Really? That I signed? Because my
You
signature
signed
is
it.
not on the inside of that first Mac. I was,
No, it's not.
after
There
that.
was one. It had your signature because somebody took a picture of it at the
Huh.
museum, and I retweeted it from your
Really?
account.
So
Yep.
Susan here
Huh.
says that she's an original Mac owner. This that is signed. A friend was on the Mac team, so that's cool.
Who?
Yeah.
What's the friend?
I don't.
Ask her for her friend's name.
You can ask her. She's watching right now. So Susan, if you know your friend, drop it in the comments.
Got
So
lunch with
Is she
Yeah.
the one that's making tacos every time we have this?
no, I don't think
Who
so.
makes
No.
Who's the one who makes tacos all the time? Makes us hungry.
Karen. Was
So
Karen
so Ben's got a great point here from the YouTube. This guy says you say nothing in your life is strategic, yet you're an author and a podcaster. Maybe your strategic goal is just more abstract than something like build a business. It's empower people. Ooh, that's a good one, Ben.
Ooh. Okay, I'm strategic. My goal is to empower people. You could make that case. I just never think of it as a strategy because it seems
Well, it
like
is
a
your motto.
strategy.
Motto slash
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I guess he was on the Mac Basic team. Don Denman.
Denman? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don Denman. He wrote Mac Basic. That's right.
So
Very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Huh.
And hers, she has hers.
So here's a great question. So
Maybe-
if somebody's
ask her if my name's on the back.
maybe it's the same one. This is a great question. I'm here to learn how to be a long-term thinker without suffering from progress paralysis. Yeah. So how paralysis? So how do you do that? How do you you've said
This is
before that
exactly.
you would out hustle everybody is what you have said before on the show. So is that the way to be a long-term thinker? Is to not kind of get stuck on vapor lock, is just to move and out hustle everybody?
Well, I think it's a way, and I think for sure he should listen to this episode because Dory
Yeah.
definitely addresses that issue. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dory's book is, the whole topic is getting in it for the long-term strategy. So she might be somebody that you might want to read, but it definitely listen to the podcast. I think
Yeah.
you have
But
to
I mean, the gist.
go ahead.
No, I mean the gist of the whole episode is like, people give up too fast.
Mhm.
They're too impatient or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they stop before the finish line. So here's the question. I would love to know this from our audience. And by the way, we're talking, if you're just joining us, we're talking all about Dory Clark's episode at remarkablepeople.com. So you guys can make sure you go there. And we actually have an easy way to do that. You can just hold up your smart device and you can go right there by this QR code. We'd love it if you guys would leave a rating and review, because that really helps us get the word out to other people. So
We, you know, remember that guy sent us a QR code that took you to multiple places? You know, remember that? Somebody sent us a QR code and it took us to the review, to the community, to the podcast, so that one QR code does it all. Remember? We got somebody sent it, made that for us and sent it to us. We
They
should
may have just
swap that
sent that to
in.
you. I don't think I
I don't
saw
remember
that.
that. I'd be interested in a QR code that
No,
goes
no,
to
I
multiple
sent
places.
it to you. I know I sent it to you, Peg, because Peg, you reacted to it.
Okay,
It was
now
a magic QR code from a company, and
that's
Okay, I'll
trust
find
me.
it.
so.
I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
send
I'm
you many
sorry.
emails. Should be easy to find.
Carol wanted this up longer because, but I
There you
wanted to pull
go.
it because, yeah, so there you go. So there you guys go and leave a rating review. We really would appreciate that because it really does help the show out. So yeah, sorry, Carol, I pulled it down because we started talking again. So there it is. And you can
We're
also go to
gonna
remarkablepeople.com and find out all the stuff you need to. Dirk has a great question. So I want to pull this up and get your take on it, Guy. He says, so talking a 5-year plan, even though I'm involved in a digital as an agency owner, I have a large number of passion projects and continue to invent new ideas. Is it better to niche down, in your opinion, or continue to explore?
Wow. I don't know how anybody can answer that for you, because niching down implies focus and grinding it out and, blah blah blah, all these other good things. On the other hand, one of the things we talk about in this episode is, should you pursue your passions? And I think that passion is overrated, and it sets up expectations and it sets up challenges that most people would have great difficulty with, which is, this theory that, oh, you're 22 years old, you haven't found your life passion yet. What's wrong with you? And so all these young people are thinking, holy shit, I'm behind the 8 ball already. I don't have my passion. I'm already 22. Half my life is over. And what we discussed was, you should just he should have an open mind and pursue things that are interesting as opposed to your passion. And if you pursue enough interesting things, eventually you will find a passion. But don't make the test, oh, I have to feel passionate about something immediately, otherwise I'm an underachiever. The passion test is too tough a test. It's not productive, in my opinion.
I think that's a great advice. The thing that, he said he has a number of passion projects and he has a bunch of ideas. And so if you're passionate about something, I think that's great, but I would get it in front of multiple people, like do a survey, talk to your friend, not, your family's going to say, if you have a good family, will say like, this is a great idea, but actually people who won't blow smoke up your skirt and like tell you the truth and see maybe one of those passion ideas is a good idea that has legs, and see if, something like that would work.
Well, I would make the case that this goes back to another great interview that you must listen to, which is the one with Mark Madsen. And he says that you will know that you have developed a passion for something when you figure out that it's a shit sandwich that you love to eat. So for me, the shit sandwich that I love to eat is editing my podcast, because I tell other podcasters how much editing I do, and they think I am freaking crazy. But it is a shit sandwich that I love. And it's the same way with my writing. I think the hard part of writing is editing, not writing. And so I spend
Sure.
months and months editing. And so when you find that you love editing your podcast, your writing, you know that you're passionate about it. And if you encounter things in areas where it's a shit sandwich and you refuse to eat it or don't like to eat it, it ain't a passion. End of discussion.
And then from the sandwich, Peg and I get the crust that we have to deal with after that. Like, that falls from the mouth of Guy.
It's better than the crumbs.
We get the crust. So a lot of they think their passion project is this. Next question, and you guys kind of have the answer to this already, but would you like to write a book? A lot of people's long-term goal is to write a book.
Not me.
And there's various reasons why people want to write a book.
There's
but
no way you're not writing one more book. I know you're going to write
I've said this 14 times.
remarkable stories, remarkable people, advice from Guy Kawasaki's Remarkable People podcast.
The art of remarkability.
We've got the transcripts, so.
Remarkability?
But in the
Sounds like a
audience,
tablet.
who would like to write a book? Or are you writing a book right now? You know, it's funny. I met a guy at a conference, and he's published like 12, 13 books. They're self-published. He's a fiction writer, and he writes like different books at the same time. I'm like, are you kidding me? He teaches writing.
What?
He's a professor, but he has multiple books going. I'm like, how in the world do you do that?
I think
But-
Hugh does that
Shit.
too. I think Hugh Howie also.
Really?
Which is
sometimes
another
will-
great interview, by the way.
That
Yes.
would be like being a podcaster and chief evangelist of Canva at the same time.
No, that would be like 2 podcasts at the same time. That would be hard.
That'd be running Square and Twitter at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's a really large percentage of people that would like to write a book. And Dory and Guy talked about in the podcast reasons why people write books. Like Dory talked about how, being a speaker, a lot of, you have more you can make more money, basically, get more jobs if you have a book.
hmm
I think for me,
And I disagree.
yeah, I was going to say, I'm not really sure how many speaking things I've gotten from the book, or I get a lot from my website in Google search.
Mm.
Maybe when they get there and they see that I also wrote a book, it helps. But
hmm
Yeah.
So
But that was such a great advance, Peg. Who gives a shit?
that was
so
a good one.
Dirk says
Man,
this.
that was
he-
the mother of all advances, man. When I
Okay.
opened that email, I said, "Is there something wrong with it? What am I missing here? They want to give us that big an advance? Let's say yes, Peg."
that was another
And
And then
example
you
of saying
waited
it.
to tell me.
days.
You waited.
Huh?
You waited to tell me.
Well, I didn't want your head to explode.
So Dirk has a great point here. He says you like doing a podcast because it's so much easier than writing a book, and you can continue to self-publish. No worries about printing out-of-date information. So I think
True.
that's very true. So
There's a
um,
lot of
if you wanna write a
advantages to podcast.
If you do want to write a book, we do have lots of podcasts that you should listen to,
Mhm.
like Hugh Howie's
Yeah.
podcast,
it's really good.
Margaret Atwood's podcast. We've had so many great writers
Oh,
on, depending
yeah.
on what kind of book you want to write. Paul Thoreau,
Paul Thoreau.
The
Paul
lady
Thoreau.
who wrote the morning pages.
Julia Cameron,
Julie
who
Cameron.
again, Julia Cameron's book helps every different kind of creativity. Really,
Mhm.
The Artist's Way.
the artist's way.
And so Angel
I
says,
interviewed her this week. She's coming back.
"Oh, cool."
I have a second interview with her. Yeah.
So Angel says someday I would love to write a book revealing the tricks of my trade, declassifying information.
Look at
That's
her
interesting.
profile.
Ooh.
She's like with a big cat.
Yeah. Wow. That's a book right there.
Yeah.
What does she do?
I don't
Tell
know.
us what you do.
Yeah, Angel, let us know.
We need to know.
Yeah. And so Andre said, he didn't want to write a book, but he thinks he would like to be a good songwriter. That's cool. That's creative.
That's
That is
cool. Why
cool.
not? Yeah.
Yeah. Might as well start now. Put in your
I
plan.
bet it's harder to write a song than a book.
Yeah, well, a good song.
Probably is hard.
Yeah. So the last question is, do you feel like you're busy all the time? Peg's yes, nodding yes. It's true.
I'm nodding yes. And this really started a long time ago with the glorification of busy, Ariana Huffington's book about
Right.
just, everybody, it's a badge of honor. Dory explains it really well on the podcast, how you don't want to give
Yeah.
up that I'm so busy. I'm so popular. I get so many emails. It's like we internalize it, and then we're telling ourselves that's so great that we could never possibly not answer one or not, it's harmful. It's a very harmful mentality.
Yeah. The rise and grind kind
Well,
of stuff. And
Yeah. Which had a big
The
pretty
reason
big
why I'm so busy,
yeah.
the reason why I'm so busy is because I surf every day. That's 3 hours right there.
So you gotta squeeze some work in.
So actually, on that note, let's see here. Angel says that she surfs with Guy and do professional baby ear piercing. We asked what she was doing with the cat photo.
Yeah.
So she surfs with you.
Yes. She does. She does.
Hopefully she won't bring the cat out.
I drop
with
in
her.
on her all the time.
Yeah. So very
yeah,
interesting.
She has a car that if you're ever in Santa Cruz, and you see a car that has professional baby ear piercing, that's her. So that's her. Yeah, that's a real true person there.
So that's why you're really podcasting to get podcast listeners. You're surfing to get people to listen to the podcast.
Oh, so I can deduct it.
Yes.
Yes, you should.
The work
So-
expense.
So we ask about being busy, and so I think there's some good high profile people who have pushed back about the whole hustle mindset. So I think it's becoming easier to say no to the rise and grind kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I wanted to pull up some comments, like you were talking about book. Like Gino says, Enchantment is a classic. Still loves that book. So still,
I got
There
the
you
red
go.
color emoji.
yeah,
Good job, Gino.
yeah, that's really
That's
cool.
right.
So yeah, so
Say yes to him, whatever he asked for.
And when we were talking about, the long-term strategy and trying to make time and like feeling busy, this is a great comment by Amon. Says, "Here's the strategy: don't be hard on yourself and don't make processes stop, but take breaks frequently whenever it's needed." And I think that goes back to the hustle culture, and even she wrote a book about sleep too.
Ariana.
Yeah, Ariana, and
Ariana.
taking care of yourself. Self-care is a big part of being productive. So
Yeah,
very
you
cool.
can't be on all the time. You definitely need mental breaks.
Yeah,
Time away from your computer. If you want to be a writer, do anything creative, you can't just sit at your computer all the time. You won't
Right.
have any ideas.
that's true.
Yep.
So make sure you
That's
guys
my
go check
surf.
out this episode with Dory. It's really good. It's another book that I want to get. What's the title of her book again? Do we know off the top of our head?
The
It was really good. It's one I want to read again because it's about the long-term strategy. I think that's what it's called,
Yeah.
isn't it? The
long
long game? Is it the long game? Oh, here we go.
It's not the long board.
Nope, not the long board. The long game. How to be a long-term thinker in a short-term world.
Yes. Yes. So I think that everybody's
title.
as wanting the quick win. Everybody's, they say we live in a microwave society. Everything's got to be fast, instant. And it's very refreshing to hear somebody talk about, okay, the long game. Think about where you
Yeah.
can be and make some goals and be flexible. But you can find that at remarkablepeople.com. We'd love for you also to join our amazing circle and discuss this podcast at bit.ly/remarkable people circle. Go check that out. Introduce yourself and tell us what you think about Dory's episode. And as always, we would love for you guys to leave us a rating and review over on your favorite podcast player. That really helps us out a bunch. And with that, Guy, I'll let you.
I
the final
just want to
word.
bid you a fond adieu. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next Wednesday with another remarkable guest. And by the way, I'm in a new place, so how does the sound here? Is it okay?
It's horrible. No, it's fine.
No, it's
fine.
good.
It's fine.
Do you think the
good.
other place is better or worse or different or anything?
I don't
Can
notice
you
a
tell?
huge difference.
Can you even tell?
No, the sound sounds really good.
Yeah,
I swear half of it is this PR40 Heil mic.
it's a good mic.
So,
I have my
Although-
my sound different because I got my new one hooked up today.
Yeah, it does sound better.
you're on the XLR mic right now?
Yes.
Ah, there you go, baby. Yeah.
We're all professional.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big time, man.
Yeah.
Real
Now we just need to
women
get a
use
surfboard behind
XLR mics. Real women use XLR. None of this USB shit, man.
Yeah.
USB
So-
is for your mouth, not for your mic.
It ultimately isn't a USB into my computer, though.
Yeah. But
True,
it does make a
true,
difference.
but
I think it
it-
does make a difference.
But,
And your Rodecaster Pro
the
makes it.
thicker the cable, the thicker the cable, the better the speaker.
Probably.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go check us out at remarkablepeople.com. We've got some great, amazing guests coming up, and we drop a new episode every Wednesday at it's 6:30 Central AM Central Time, but Pacific, I don't know.
No,
I can't.
Pacific.
Well,
Pacific, 6:30 Pacific.
oh, 6:30 Pacific. Yeah, that's right. I'm in Central. I don't know where I'm at. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye.